He's a Seattle Mariner. He's 19 years old, and he goes by the name of Harry Ford. And this is we've already seen the athleticism and stuff like that, but here's an athletic freak. The guy's insane. He's got 11 bombs and 23 stolen bases. Ross, dive into it a little bit more for us, will you?
All right. Harry Ford's overall slash line this year at single A, he hit 274 with a 425 OBP and a 438 slugging percentage. The power was a little bit down. He showed some promise in his smaller sample last year with the power. You know, it might take a little while for that to develop, but I think that it's there. You know, a lot of speed from the catching position. Again, we're talking about the levels of the minor leagues, so there's some reason to be maybe a little skeptical of it. But you know what stands out to me the most about Harry Ford is his walk rate, actually. That's what I notice when I look at him. The 425 OBP and the 17.6% walk rate. Those are high numbers for a guy this young. So he's got a pretty advanced plate approach.
Yep.
He strikes out quite a bit, so he must see a lot of pitches. But it's not like a really high amount that you might see from some premier type of power hitting type of prospects. So it's, yeah, I mean, just to quote it, 17.6% walk rate, 23% strikeout rate. So really good numbers. I think he's got an interesting future ahead of him, and I do think he'll be a difference maker. I don't know about an all-star, but I think an everyday player.
So I kind of want to run through this in my head, and you can jump in whenever you want. So we have a 19-year-old, 5'10", and 200 pounds. So he's got plenty of growth left in him. He's already a strong kid, obviously. But with a 276 average, he's struck out 129 times, and he's walked 97. Can you deal with that strikeout percentage when he walks that much and still has a high average? I certainly can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
yeah,
this is going to be kind of the start of something that we're going to touch on a little bit, is the eye discipline of some of these catching prospects. Like 97 walks, I really don't give a crap how many times you strike out, especially when you're holding a 276 average. Like there's no cheap outs with this guy, is kind of what I'm getting at. There's no cheap outs.
Yeah. Yep.
I really enjoy that. I really enjoy his stat line. It's just a fun stat line to look at. I think this is a baseball player.
And I mean, we're talking about projection here, and I said, you know, I don't know if we're looking at an all-star, and that might be selling him short a little bit because we just don't know. He draws an interesting comp to Andrew McCutchen, which, you know, well, if you look at their stat lines, it seems like it makes sense. Andrew McCutchen was a similar sort of player, especially during his peak years. I think McCutchen had a little bit more power during his peak than what we're going to see from Harry Ford, but you know, the ability to get on base and kind of do damage, stealing bases, or you know, with the bat itself, like I see that in the comparison. Interestingly enough, he gets a scout grade equivalency on our little ranking system here: 50 for hit, 50 for power, and 50 for run. 50s across the board. So slightly above average there.
One thing that does concern me is, are they going to play catcher? Like, do they have too much athleticism to be sitting behind the plate? That's one thing that can be a little bit concerning. Maybe these guys aren't going to be catchers. Maybe they're going to be third baseman. Maybe they're going to be in the outfield. But at this point, who gives a crap as long as they can hit the ball?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't get too caught up in the catching or the position for any prospects, to be honest, like, because it changes so much.
Yeah.
I think it's an input, but it's not a significant consideration. I'm not going to pick one prospect over another just because of their position.
Sure.
If they're comparable players, sure, that might be a decision vector, in that situation. But most of the time, I'm just going to look at who is displaying the characteristics of a player that can make it to the major league level and be productive there. I'm going to go for that player every time.
And that's kind of why I wanted to highlight that aspect.
Yeah.
Is sometimes we don't want to care even about what position they're playing right now, because we're trying to do is get bats right now.
Yeah.
We want the bats. We want the stats.
Thank you for watching this player evaluation. If you'd like more great content on prospects across Major League Baseball, please visit our website, www.scoutthestatline.com. Thanks a lot.